I love the interface of what we perceive in and around our consciousness, our inner journey, and how we use our technology. To me, there's so many interesting parallels, whether it's watching a movie like The Matrix and seeing seeing the choices those characters make, um, or if it's looking at your own self when you're figuring out you're really stuck in something and you realize that it's like you're running from an old program and what's the new program. I use a lot of technology analogies in my own self journey and self work. I've always loved sci-fi, so it works for me. It may or may not work for you, but I like it. It satisfies the happy nerd within. So today I wanted to talk about perceptions along with how we relate to data and software and our algorithms. Now, when we sit in prayer or in meditation, we want a clear mind. Our natural eyes are closed. Maybe our third eye is open. We are connected in spirit. Our heart is open and inspiration flows to us, ideas, new ways of moving forward with problems that we have or something new that we want to do that we're really excited about. All of that comes to us. And then we walk around in our day and we perhaps, if we're really in tuned and connected with our bodies and our environment, we see these signs of encouragement. Maybe we'll meet a person and they'll talk about that thing that we were thinking about or praying about this morning. And it's like, yes, synchronicity. If you know what I'm talking about, if that's a big part of your life experience, like it is for me, there's really no explanation necessary. You know it. You know when you are in your own flow, you know what it feels like to walk around and really live with this feeling that the universe has your back. On the flip side, not all, I don't at least, I'm not able to live there permanently all the time. And so I find that especially these days, I'm noticing that whenever I have, more of the negative chatter perhaps, or I'm wondering if I am worthy of this, or should I do this, or can I do that, or, I'm not good enough. It's like on the flip side, whenever I go through that thought process, the same thing happens. It's like I become a magnet for all of the crap to come in. And it's kind of interesting because to me, that tells me that I am choosing my adventure here. I am choosing this lower, heavier, vibrational reality. And it doesn't last for a long time because I do know how to get out of it. But it's an interesting, place within the self to actually notice, why would I choose this? Am I trying to work through something that's maybe unconscious? And, again, we sit, we move through our day, we eat, we stretch, we work, we walk around, and we pick up things from our environment. So a big piece of this is discerning what is ours and what is someone else's. Maybe you started your day perfectly aligned, amazing, and great. And then you went out to get groceries, or you went into a meeting, and then all of a sudden you feel heavy, tired, burdened, things like that. And again, this is not another person's fault, but where did our energy get pulled? And so that's the inner work and the inner journey. And then we have all our devices, our laptops, our phones, our tablets. We have everything that we're connected to. And I kind of love that, if we're watching podcasts and shows, YouTube or Facebook, they do this, right? If you've watched something, the algorithm will pull similar and it will give it to you. Exactly like what I just described. If I'm vibrating love and peace, maybe I tend to get more of that in my day. But if I'm vibrating doubt or fear or rage, then more of my memories or experiences that I will have will sort of be around that. And so the algorithms work in this similar way. And I find that really interesting. And my sense of this right now is what we're being invited to do is to look at our inner and outer perception and sort of move beyond these previously held ideas of what is good and right and then bad and wrong. And I think what tends to happen is we get caught in our own judgment. That's sort of the problem with living in the mind too much, right? Like you have this perception, this idea, you have a whole bunch of belief systems, then all your thought forms and processes, your emotions kind of fall into one of those categories, and then you judge this is good and that is bad. And so right now we hear that, Elon Musk is, trying to buy out Twitter. Now, using this as practice, to me, I think it's less important if you like or dislike Elon Musk or SpaceX or Tesla or PayPal or all his other companies. It also matters less if you use or like Twitter. For me, it's when you are outside of judgment, or when you acknowledge that there's a good and there's a bad, that's awesome. But now we take a step back from judgment. And then we look at the situation as what is, right? Many people have their opinions on Elon Musk and Twitter. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. He's going to do this, that, and the other. And there's a lot of that chatter, but to find the answer within the self. What do you actually think about this? Does it even matter? If you didn't care about what Elon Musk does in the day and you don't use Twitter, it doesn't matter. Maybe not. Now, this is sort of the line of questioning that I find interesting. And it's sort of that interface between, technology, how we communicate, how we receive communication, and how we, speak it and sort of emit it out, and what's happening in the technology world. And so you have this situation and you're sitting and you're like, do I care about this? Maybe you used Twitter in the past. Maybe your last car was a Tesla. Maybe you used PayPal this morning to pay for something. And so for me, it's once you take a step, once you're less interested in what is right and wrong, and you sort of free yourself from that, and you come into your heart and you connect in with the spirit, you start to be able to see other things, right? Like maybe something someone said resonates with you, doesn't resonate with you. And then you come to this little process where you start to actually mine your truth and see what is different. What could be the benefit of this? What could be the downfall of something like this? So again, this is not about agreeing with my opinion, but when I sat with it, Elon Musk is kind of a weird guy. I think he's kind of interesting, kind of says and does odd things. But again, that's still me coming from judgment. He's a bit of a rogue, like a wild card in this world of big tech. A lot of people in big tech have, like a similar type of personality type. They kind of talk in the same way. There's like a certain vibe about them. And then there's Elon Musk. So he's a bit of a wild card. And now you have Twitter where, your expression is a few characters. There's a lot of division because that's generally, like an aspect of humanity. Someone says something and everyone hates them. Someone says something and everyone loves them, all of this stuff. And so I wonder if maybe there's something really great about inserting this wild card where we don't know what Elon Musk will do tomorrow. And if he does buy Twitter, how will this change the vibe of Twitter? Everyone who's been censored from Twitter, will they suddenly get their accounts back? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he would do something like this. And so to me, it's kind of fun. I'm not on Twitter, so it doesn't really matter to me. And so I have a level of distance from it. If you were an active user of Twitter, maybe you have other concerns. But the practice here is to look at the opinions and the judgments of others, note where we are in it, and recognize that is of the mind. And then when we breathe, when we reconnect into our heart space, into our spirit, we start to open up into these different possibilities. Because now from the heart space, infinite possibilities can come to pass. And now we can sort of understand what it's like to start to relate to those possibilities, have feelings about them. Maybe something feels really good. Maybe none of what is happening in the tech world matters to you, but you still use your phone. You still use your laptop. Maybe you don't use that software. But again, we are more and more consciously now an interconnected world. And so simply not caring about something, maybe you think you're not affected by it, but we are all affected by each other's choices. And that can be a very scary thing, which is why this whole returning to self, clearing the mind, opening the heart, grounding the body, grounding the mind, like speaking in calm and peace, and actually living that way, and finding where we are in discord or at war within the self, because the technology will amplify what is. It takes all the ability of all our sense organs and amplifies it across the world. And so if there's a little flicker of war, doubt, resentment within the self, and you're texting your friends, or you're recording a video, or you're trying to do something online or in the virtual world, notice how that gets amplified. Like, we're in a time where, while the world is stitched together, there's a lot of internet outages, there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of like bots trying to who are upping their scamming games and trying to get into your wallets and your bank accounts and your email and get a lot of your personal information. Like, that's a very real present part of what it is like to have a digital existence right now. And so we have to get very practiced, I think, in asking ourselves the right questions. And the right question isn't, is this good? Is this bad? Will this, person, this, will the Elon Musks of the world, or, a politician or someone come and save us from the digital, if we live in a digital hell? Like, no one's going to save anyone from anything. To me, this is a lot of, this is different vibrational resonances. It's almost like you're cooking and you're choosing ingredients. So you're choosing energetic or vibrational ingredients, and you're trying to see what will come of this. Will this be a solution that benefits humanity? Will it look like it's benefiting humanity, but it doesn't actually benefit? Or does it just change something? And from this change, a lot of other new things are possible. So the invitation today is to start thinking about is to sort of take a little inventory checklist of where we are at with our relationship with our hardware and our software. And when I say technology, I also mean the software you use, the programs you use, and what programs are running within. Is there an opportunity for us to learn from our day, from our phone, from the apps that we use, from the software that we use, from the type of hardware and connections that we have in our physical world, and what that's telling us about our inner journey, about our inner thoughts, about where we are at. If your sole purpose in using your software, your hardware, your apps is to distract yourself from your reality, then you are someone who perhaps wants to be saved from your difficult or unpleasant reality, and you are using these tools as distraction rather than using these tools to deepen your connection, to expand your mind, to learn more about a topic of your choosing. But who dictates that isn't the software. It is you. It is the conscious one. It is the wise one within. And when we start to relate to our technology with a stronger sense of ownership, we then start to raise our vibration from within. And I think that is a brilliant place to start when we start to think about what mastery is. To me, mastery is having an understanding of our mind space, like our perceptions, our psychological space, our mental capacity, with our emotional state. And to always allow what is, not to judge it, not to shame it, to allow what is, so that from this place of allowance, we open and expand to something greater than we were 5 minutes ago. And to me, that's like an early step in how we can walk this walk. So the mundane task of, charging your phone or like checking to see who messaged you, we tend to do stuff like that mindlessly, right? It's like, oh, my laptop froze, so I guess I'll restart it. Can we start to do things like that consciously? At nights, when we start to plug in our phone and turn off our laptop, we are also getting ready for bed, right? So it's almost like starting to use whatever's around you in your room, in your house, in your workplace, as these little tools of divination. On a day when you feel really tired, is your cell phone battery really low as well? So if you're charging that, maybe you need to charge too. Maybe. It's kind of a magical way of looking at things, but why not? We all get really thrilled and excited by like a cool new sci-fi movie. But I think we do that because more than entertainment, it's sort of speaking to this deep magical part of us. And to me, magic and technology are very closely linked. Technology is so magical. We can talk to each other from across the world. I mean, if you're, like a brilliant psychic and your friends are telepaths and psychics, yeah, you can do that without technology. Awesome. But until we get there, or until we develop those skills, we have Zoom. We have Signal and Telegram, and we have all of these awesome apps and software. We have phones to call each other. It's kind of old school now, but so there's ways to use what's around you, and our technology is pervasive, and this is around us, whether it's your internet, your modem, whether you're concerned about 5G, all of that, like it tells you how much you are in fear, how much you are in excitement. It allows you different ways of connecting with your body and seeing like where something might be stuck. Is it stuck in your heart? Is it kind of stuck in your back? Are you feeling sort of like a buzzing in your ears or in your head? Does your knee hurt? These are ways to reconnect with your physical environment, with your body, but also with your actual environment. And so the invitation today is to try and expand our perspective, to be friends with our technology, to be strong to it, to recognize that our technology is here to serve us. My laptop, my phone, my Zoom account is here to serve me. It is not the other way around. And so as we start to establish that relationship, as we start to readjust those power dynamics, we start then to flip and expand our perspective, not only in our life, our journey, our world, but also in the world that we behold. So that when news articles around, big tech or software, hardware, things like, AI is going to take over the world, all of that, we actually sit in discernment with it, and we actually give ourselves some time and space to look in and find our truth. The readjustment of our perceptions beyond judgment, beyond the old ideas of what was right and what was wrong, and this should be punished and this should be celebrated. I think a lot of that is attached to this Piscean age of thinking, but we are now in the Aquarian age. The juice, the joy, the next steps, how we're going to move is less about what we previously thought what we previously thought was right and wrong, and more about what is aligned with us now in our body, mind, soul, spirit, and environment, and to behold the world from that place. Enjoy your day today.